Leslie, can you hear us?
I don't see them, so it's like the smallest.
Is everybody hooked up now? Yeah, I've got 6 PM. I'm gonna call the meeting to order here. Let's do board roll call, please.
Julie Saul.
Christopher Webb.
Robin Kissel,
Michael Cornelia.
Corey Griffiths.
all in place here. We also have the directors of Forest Lakes here. All of them are here, and Guy as well as the district manager. Approval of the agenda.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. The agenda has this attachment, which are changes that were requested.
Yeah, okay. Approval of the previous minutes that have been adjusted.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the previous minutes from last month's meeting.
All in favor?
Aye.
So be it.
Okay.
Here. In the bottom.
Is that better? Okay. Public comments, non-agenda topics. Each speaker is limited to 5 minutes. And they need to identify themselves, their full name and address, please. Any takers on that? Public comment.
Yeah, I guess if no one else wants to, if you can hear me okay, I'd like to ask a question, I guess.
Name and address, please, Patrick.
Okay, Patrick Yankee, and my address is the lot at 986 Alpine Forest that we just bought. We don't live there yet because there's nothing on the lot. And I'm just trying to get myself to know everyone and get up to speed on Forest Lakes and the management district. And one thing I've noticed in looking back through the meeting minutes, the last couple of meetings, there's a couple of things that are of interest. Would it be better for me to just email those to you, or could I bring them up here?
You got 5 minutes.
Okay. I guess the first thing was about a comment from the fire chief stating that he thought the reason insurance companies were bailing out, for lack of a better term, was that there was no HOA in Forest Lakes that was enforcing fire mitigation covenants. Is my understanding of what he said correct? And I noticed that you had a presentation about the forest mitigation efforts, I think last week or a week or two ago. And I was wondering if you plan to put that online somewhere so I could see it. I just became aware of it after it had happened.
Okay, I'll try to answer that as best I can. As far as the insurance is leaving because we don't have an HOA or what used to be a POA, Property Owners Association. I can't speak to about why the insurance company won't cover you or not. I still have insurance myself, but so I'm not aware of insurance is not covering, and that may be an issue. I don't know.
So the fire chief did make mention of personal fire, whether it's fire pits or people having fires on their property, that could be mitigated with an HOA in place. But I believe the conversation was directed at personal fires, as in fire pit or burning leaves, debris on personal property or private property, sorry.
And Guy, you might be able to answer this better than.
I wanted to add one thing. I understand what was said by the fire chief. I will say I disagree with that. The Property Owners Association disbanded 15 or 20 years ago.
It's true.
Okay. And the other, if I still have another minute, the only other thing I'd mention is that go ahead. Did you want to?
Yeah, I just had one thing to add from what I was understanding about the insurance was they were looking at like aerial photos of properties, and it's houses that have trees over the roof lines that the insurance companies were dropping. So properties that hadn't mitigated like around the property. So if you're building, like, you want to take into account, you probably want to do the defensible space, and there's plenty of information about that out there.
That was my understanding also.
Okay, I mean, my personal experience was just we looked at trying to get a number for it when we build a house on the lot, what it will cost to insure it. And as of today, I've not found a single insurance company who will insure it for any amount of money. They said they basically are not writing any new policies in Forest Lakes. And I can understand, I think they had a busy couple of years, maybe everything will settle down. But to me, this is a significant issue, obviously. And if there's, I would certainly want to see what was in the recommendations for fire mitigation. So maybe at some point in the future, we can find an insurance company to write a new policy. But I'm not getting any traction with any insurance company at all to build a new house in Forest Lakes.
I think State Farm's still issuing them. They were here at the.
I think the net we're gathering from insurance companies is that it's a property by property issue. It's not blanket in Forest Lakes. What I'm understanding is they're actually going property by property and seeing what they would consider insurable. And yes, we're hearing about it, and it's not due to district policies changing. The district has changed no policies that would affect your values or your insurance coverage.
Okay. Do I have one more minute, or is that it for me?
One more, just,
Okay.
yeah.
Just for obvious reasons, 986 Alpine Forest is the lot that's right next to the old community center. So my wife and our family and I are very interested in what will happen with the community center. And I've already suggested by email that we'd be willing to chip in to help. I saw in one of the minutes from a previous meeting that there was an estimate it might cost $100,000 to fix up the community center. And I suggested there could be a quid pro quo there, where if we chipped in a lump to help improve the community center, could we potentially get something out of it, like an easement that would allow us to build a driveway coming from, up around the parking lot of the community center rather than the access part of the property. And I wanted to get a feel from the board, what ideas are even in the realm of possible? Is this something that wouldn't even be considered? Or I think the one play I got was that we'd have to show what the benefit was for the community. And I guess the obvious thing would be if the community center got up and running again sooner, that would be a clear benefit. So is this something that I could, I don't want to proceed with making a formal proposal if it would just not even be considered. So is that something that's in the realm of possible?
I think we need to check with the attorney on that one. If that's even possible.
To use Forest Lakes property that's earmarked as greenbelt?
Oh, no, allow him to
Private access?
do improvements to the rec center to be granted an easement. I don't know the legalities of that.
I don't think it's the legal issues that you're concerned about. I think it is future use of district property and what they want to give up and what they don't want to give up. This board has talked on and off about looking at the rec center as a budget item for next year. It has had a site visit. There's a plan in place, an architectural review plan that outlines what the costs for rehabbing the facility would be. And you have a dedicated property that the district has historically used for parking and access that's surrounded. So I'm not sure if it's a legal issue more than a issue of is this something the district would like to pursue in use of its land to afford a property owner a different access than the one they purchased?
I mean, I would make a decision right now because I don't believe that a private property should use community space to access a future home. That's community property that is, you know, the entire communities. And this, I don't feel, is in the best interest or use of that property.
I agree, 100%.
I think it's a tough thing when you're dealing with purchasing a property, especially in mountain communities, access to it and limitations. But that has to be taken into account when purchasing the property.
Yes, and it's not like we expected this to be likely. It just seems like it was worthwhile asking. So, we'll just move on and, use the access line that comes with the property itself. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Yeah, Kevin Collins, 300 Pinecone Drive. I'll make it quick and short. Is there any plan to grade the evacuation route? It's pretty rough.
Yeah, we are, right now we've got truckers back there that have kind of, they're logging. And that has done a little bit of damage to the work that was done prior by the staff. Later this summer, I'm sure they're gonna take another pass over it, to get us down to the fence line of the adjoining property. But it's been from the weather and the, big vehicles driving over. If you see them back there, they got some big old choppers working.
Yeah, it was real muddy a couple weeks back, but yeah. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Kevin. Anyone else? Is that a hand raise?
Gina, yeah.
Gina?
Hi, yes,
Go-
Gina Tyler, 414 San Moritz. This is the first meeting I've ever attended, so I'm sorry if I missed the beginning about what has all ever been talked about, but just wondering if there would be any consideration to extending the dumpster hours at all?
It has already been changed, I know, from what it used to be.
I, for one, would be in favor of extending the dumpster hours. For those of us that work, it's hard for us to take our trash during the week.
During the week, I think, Wednesday is the late day, or is it
Monday.
is the late day.
Monday's the
Wednesday,
late day? Wednesday it opens early, and then Saturday it stays open till 5.
Just wondering if maybe, since everybody that does enter does have the fob, and that I understand that should obviously shouldn't be shared with anybody that's outside of the Forest Lakes residential area, that maybe a consideration that maybe even a Sunday, even a part day on a Sunday might be considered, again, for those that work and don't really get home, and perhaps Saturday might be the only day, but it's kind of really limited to just having the one day, especially if you have a family and trash tends to build up. Just something to consider for those people that aren't able to work or come home and utilize it during the normal business hours, aside from just the one day a week.
It is very limited, and one of the issues with changing the hours would be, or the security, because nothing's separating all of Forest Lakes equipment and stuff from the trash site.
We also, the trash, currently takes a fair amount of manual labor to manage. So it does, get very full. Staff is in there pulling things out that sometimes don't go in there, washers, stuff like that. When it gets windy, it blows over and blows out of the fence line. And so the staff is there to clean it up and keep it going out of the fence line. And then they're there to cover it up, and it stays covered overnight. And then during the day, believe it or not, the birds have found it, and the birds all congregate and yank stuff out and throw it all over the ground. So we are issuing an RFP for trash. There's something in that RFP is a section that talks about covered containers if possible. I think if we did that, it would mitigate a fair amount of the problems and may avail the trash site to staying open for later hours.
Okay. Do you expect there to be additional talk about like the covers in future meetings anytime soon, or?
Probably when we get the bids back, we'll talk
Okay,
about it.
any expected time frame for getting those bids back?
The board should be taking action on this probably in July or August to formalize a contract. So before then, if they'd like to have it on the agenda to discuss, obviously we put it on. We did have a discussion with the board from a staff level before, we went out to bid. The understanding of the trash time has kind of always been something that I've heard since I've been here, past 9 or 10 months. It is something we're trying to deal with, but right now it's a labor intensive proposition.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Gina. Anyone else?
There is a comment from Bonnie that says, any chance that instead of bumps, there can be dips like in Bayfield and lessen the chance of damage to the plows. I think instead of speed bumps, she means the,
Those are gutter pans. Those aren't meant to slow people down. It's meant to carry the water off the road. And they do still cause damage to plows.
Yeah.
Oh, where's she talking about bumps? What do we have? We don't have bumps.
I think at one time she had brought up the idea of putting speed bumps to slow speeders down. She said the speeders are really getting out of control.
And remember, we were told in order for law enforcement, they need to hear about these complaints. So call law enforcement if you've got speeders and they'll come out and they'll do the checks and stuff and issue out tickets. They will do that. So again, contact the law enforcement and let them know about the speeders.
Have been out and about the district radaring and patrolling.
Okay, excellent. So they are out and
The
about.
sheriffs, right?
Yeah, the sheriffs have been. So, but yeah, that's, it's an issue, and if it's against the law, then we call the law enforcement for that. So good.
Especially now the roads are so nice.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyone else? Is that all the comments as well? Thank you.
Oh, just a comment again, Gina Tyler again. I didn't realize that we could call law enforcement. I didn't realize that they had any kind of jurisdiction in a private subdivision.
So we're not a private subdivision.
Okay,
The Metro District is responsible for roads, water, sewer, and recreation. So the only way we can legally get on your property, for instance, if there is a water or sewer issue, but we don't go on there for any covenants because there's no covenants to enforce, and we have no law enforcement capabilities. So anything we do law enforcement wise would be through the La Plata County Sheriff.
okay, so it'd just be like them patrolling just a normal, regular neighborhood kind of thing.
Yeah, we're not private, we're not gated. These are public roads for anybody to drive on. But the sheriff does try to do patrols through here. We're kind of an outlier. So we're the last to probably get those drive-bys. But you are more than welcome to call the Plata County Sheriff, or, you can contact me if you're seeing people. But I'm gonna report it to the sheriff as well. So it's all gonna end up with the Plata County Sheriff.
Okay, thank
Anything
you.
long.
Appreciate the clarification.
So Bayfield Police doesn't have anything to do with this? Just,
Only in like some case of domestic violence or something like that. The police department has a agreement with the sheriff that they can come up and respond, because we'll probably get here faster for something like that, but we really don't have any jurisdiction on her.
The county and Bayfield have a mutual agreement. We don't have an agreement with anybody.
Okay. Okay, no more public comments. Moving right along to the committee updates, budget.
I do not have any update.
Recreation,
No updates at this time.
at this time. There's now,
No updates, but I would like to propose a employee appreciation lunch.
Okay.
Employee Appreciation Month,
Lunch.
lunch.
Thoughts, concerns, comments, dates,
What are your thoughts on what you're
you guys,
looking?
thoughts, where to go?
Just do like we did last time, burgers and hot dogs or whatever, down at the shop, or even here.
Y'all game with that? We do need to pick a date and stuff.
I'll let staff pick the date.
Okay.
Would you guys let me, or like me to kind of spearhead that?
Would you?
Things together for you?
Is everyone in favor of that first?
Yeah,
Okay, yes, please.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're not serving steaks.
So we'll
Just
just say,
We're
thanks.
serving steaks.
No, food
lobster,
poison.
lobster.
Okay. Thanks, Shauna. Yeah, we keep on putting it there.
$10 discount.
So let's get reports from the staff, the officers and the consultants. District manager first, you're up.
Thank you. There's a written report in the packet. We are a couple big ticket items. The Lake Simpatico Dam project. I've now had multiple meetings with both Southwest Basin Roundtable and Southwest Water Conservation District in search for grants. We're talking a total of 6 figures, probably mixed between the two. Still working on that, and I have about a month and a half to get those, at least one of those 2 applications, and the other one I have more time on. So that would go towards the dam project, and so that should hopefully defer 25 to 30% of that cost of what we're looking at. Gosh, RFP.
Damn, probably, are we gonna have to drain it, or have we looked at?
We are right now looking as though it's gonna have to be drained. We have no formal plans. But after talking with the diving company in Denver and some engineers who specialize in dam construction and dam repair out of Denver, and they've looked at the state report, and we've given them aerials and videos and everything here. They are leaning towards it having to be drained to some extent.
Oh, I understand draining it a little bit, but we couldn't do a coffer dam to try to retain some of that water.
I don't know. I don't think that's ruled out. It's not looking positive.
Okay.
District rules and regulations, staff will have its second meeting, end of this week, and then we're gonna either reconvene the ad hoc and go through it, or we can bring it to this board and be reviewed. And then generator project, we're issuing an RFP on that. So that is you'll be hopefully by the end of summer available to approve the project. It will not get installed until the following year, but we're making really good progress on that. And then I did want to, just a point of personal privilege with the staff training. As I said, when I came here, I made it clear that one of my goals was to have staff attend trainings, and they have done that. Basically, everybody's departments that are represented here have gone on trainings that are fairly in-depth and fairly intensive, and I am seeing the results, and I hope the citizens are too. I think it's been beneficial. And it's been hard on them because they're still juggling their tasks, but they're getting it done and they're doing the trainings. I wanted to note that. Any questions?
Congratulations.
That's not a question. Any questions? I'll show my way out.
Year-old.
Wait, staff, try to be on.
I think we're good with that. Thank you.
So I have a question. I do have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
You talked about grants up here for,
Yeah, probably.
like, yeah. The SDA is talking about DOLA in a DOLA webinar, that there's funding opportunities right now and EPA fundings and grants.
Okay.
Have you guys looked into that?
No, I got turned on with these because these would help. They're not water acquisition or anything like that, they're storage. So that's why I've been talking to these guys specifically about that.
Okay.
I will check in with the DOLA stuff though.
Cause it sounded like some of it could be equipment, so I'm just
Yeah.
thinking that we should jump on that while there's still funds.
Guess I have a question. Did you guys ever have a chance to look at any of the grants for those like microgrids or anything of that nature?
Did not.
Is that something you would want to look at or could possibly? It did seem like there was quite a bit of money out there for it.
Yeah, and it hasn't bubbled up at the top of my list. We got,
I didn't know if it was something maybe we could try to work in with that generator project too. So it all ties together.
Sure.
Somehow. Just some ideas.
Anything more for Guy? Anyone? Next up, Shauna, administration.
All right. So we worked on outstanding liens for the audit. We worked on the Bennett Myers ditch schedule. I attended a meeting with the water commissioner and Guy for a better understanding of the Bennett Myers ditch, how that works, what's our responsibility kind of thing. Gathered invoices and information to determine purchase for capital improvements for the audit. Updated emails from the customer portal in Cassell. Researched FLMD's domain management for the upcoming migration to the new website. We cleaned out the bulletin board across the way, and we will do that on a monthly basis. Training with Cassell to learn how to import the credit card statement every month. So I don't have to manually enter that. I can do an import inside of Cassell. And I got some one-on-one training for that. Processed some excavation permits, attended weekly director meetings, 2 payroll runs, daily payment entry. The minutes were transcribed from the previous board meeting, meter reads and monthly billing, continued file retention, real estate and title request, updating trash fogs, 2 check runs, account payable and websites. Website edits. I would like to say that we have finished the initial requested information from the auditor, and that's all been sent his way. Now it's kind of in his hands. He has everything he needs to get started. We do know there will be initial requests as he works, but we're organized and prepared for that. So we're hoping it goes pretty smoothly. Yeah. As for the new website, I spoke with the project manager last week. The content editor was working through the last bit of our content from our current site. So how it kind of works is they look through our current site, they take everything that we have there, bring it into a new site, and they call that our template site. I have my first training Thursday of this week. After I do that training, I'll get my sign on and I will start working on the content, taking away things we don't want, adding things that we do want, how the website functions and things like that. So we're almost there. She told me that once I have that training, that's kind of the kickoff, is once I learn how to operate the sites, then we really start digging in and getting everything. So I'll be working really closely with the project manager to ensure that the new website meets our expectations. And as soon as I have some sort of update, I will let you guys know.
Can I bring up the question regarding that?
Okay. I attended a webinar about website and ADA compliance and PDF compliance. Is our vendor on with all of that? Because they said they all have to, it's a federal thing.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
that's all going to be done.
Yes, ma'am. So who we are using, Civic Plus actually builds governmental websites. That's what they do. So they are fully aware of the ADA compliance in Colorado. So it will be ADA compliance to the color scheme, all of that, how it functions. That's what they do.
Are they doing all the PDFs in scanning them and doing all the accessibility on those?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
I have a question about the Bennett Myers ditch and what is our responsibility with that ditch?
So it's my understanding of the ditch is there was never any formal ditch company formed of the Bennett Myers ditch. Years ago, Forest Lakes kind of decided that we would take the responsibility of that because we are the majority shareholder of the ditch. It's my understanding, our only responsibility is open the head gate, close the head gate, manage the flow from the water commissioner, and maintain what we own. And it's everybody's responsibility to repair or man their shares of the ditch, is my understanding of
That's the about
it.
Well, who do we pay dues to? Do we pay dues for the Bennett Myers?
We pay dues for our shares
To who?
to PRID, yes.
So there's a bunch of Bentonmire, and I didn't know this, but there's a bunch of little Bentonmire ditches off the grid, right? So there's, I don't know, 8 or 10 of them. Ours serves 7 or 8 people. So we did not do any incorporation for this particular part of the ditch. Others might have, I'm not sure. In Fort Collins, growing up, we were on a ditch. My dad was president of it. It was incorporated. Here's not.
I was just curious if there was a ditch rider and.
There's no ditch rider. We're right in the ditch right now. Ask about the people.
Essentially, Forest Lake is the ditch rider because
For our
years
section.
ago,
For a little bit.
years ago, they decided not to form a formal ditch company.
So we go to PRID and somebody else is taking too much water or?
Well, we're kind of in control of the water. So we're talking to, I'm sorry? Yeah, so we're talking to, what's his name? Yeah, Warren. About how much we're supposed to be sending down, how much he wants to the weir, when we start it, when we stop it. And then we're in touch with, the people who are on the ditch to see when they need water. And that's about as in depth as it's getting. And then we are cleaning up the ditch to make the water passable.
It's supposed to work on an honor system. That's what all of the paperwork that I've been able to find on it is that it's supposed to work on an honor system because there is no formal ditch company,
So we're paying.
essentially, yes.
Yeah, we're paying for it. And it's taken hours.
Is that the one you were repairing the other day?
That's one right in front on 501.
By the fire department?
We have about probably almost 2 weeks of manpower. It's usually been 2 guys. One day it was all 4 of us, so.
Well, keep the beavers down here at my house.
Is there a way to change all that?
I'm sure there is.
I'm looking into it.
Okay.
But it hasn't been done. Like, it's always been this system forever, so we're carrying the financial weight, the timing weight, the water distribution, we're carrying all that. So if you're a user, why would you? How would we incorporate?
What I've seen so far, what we make off the ditch and what we spend on the ditch is doesn't balance out.
It is not even.
We only make about $750 from the ditch a year. And that's because we lease our shares of the water to other owners even, so they can have more water. So we lose on the ditch essentially. By the time you figure in wages, material to repair, things like that, we lose on the ditch. We're not coming out ahead at all.
Any other questions? Moving on to, water and wastewater, Mark, Director.
All right, it's some kind of change here. As you guys know, we're entering into the spring time of year. We'll be seeing increases in our water production, which I've listed on here, came up about $500,000. And it really hasn't been hot yet. Usually what happens is it gets hot, everybody waters, and then they get their first water bill and they back off. That's kind of the way things seem to work. So we're expecting, once we finally get into those 70s and 80s, I see a little bit more of a bump than what we see here, 4.2 million. Some other, another highlight, we did repair early in the month a water service line leak on Alpine Forest Drive. Nearest I can figure, we lost about 30,000 gallons for 2 days that we know of. What was happening before that, we're not sure, but that once it got reported, then started finding. The lead service line inventory, you asked about this, Corey. Little bit of, a few things have changed. They backed this, CDPHE backed off what their requirements were here at the last minute and changed the date from everything before 1989 to everything before 1960. So we had, I believe it was one that we looked at and verified that it was not lead. So that, I'm sorry you guys did so much work. The CDPHE backed off of their requirement at the last minute when people are scrambling, spending all kinds of money and time and manpower trying to figure this out, what they have in their system. And then apparently you didn't need to. But anyway, it's been submitted, so that's off our plate. And Sunrise Engineering, they prepared that. They're the ones that informed us of the latest, those latest developments. Let's see here. As happened last month, we have violated the 2-year running annual average. That. It looks like the results are gonna, we're not gonna be good for April either. So that's gonna be 3 months in a row. So you'll hear the same spiel next month, but we are seeing at this point, our ammonia is turning around in a hurry. So I foresee us not violating next month. The thing that's a bummer about this particular parameter is it's a 2-year running annual average. So the numbers that we got this year, even if we were to be in compliance next year, we'll be out of compliance because we have to average a high number with a low number, for instance. So it'll be a mathematical violation. I don't know why they do it that way. It's the CDPHE way, I guess. So that's at the back of this report. Jeff, our newest employee on our side, passed his Collection 1 certification test. We completed and submitted the Reg 85 program report to CDPHE. And probably one of the things, I guess, big accomplishments for this early part of the year for us on the water and wastewater side is we did apply for some grants from CDPHE for PFAS study sampling. We got the sampling grant, which is worth about 15 grand. And then we got the IES grant as well, which is worth about 121 grand. That is going to enable us to drill some wells, prospect a little bit, see what we find in some other parts around our well field. And we've had a discussion, should be on April's report, but I'll tell you now, we've had a discussion with the gentleman that owns property right next to us. And he's willing to let us drill a well on his property, and it turns out to be good. And he says we might have an opportunity to maybe have some production well on his property. So we'll find out more about what our PFAS situation looks like with this extra sampling. That's the whole goal of all this. The results, from the compliance sample point, or will be the compliance sample point in, 28. On this last round of sampling, we did not have anything that would have triggered an MCL. We were below it. So we have brought well 3 back online, based on our sampling. And those results are at the compliance point. We do still have PFAS in our water. It's just not at those levels that we saw on our initial sample effort. So moving forward, we're gonna sample again. Now that the river's up, we'll sample again sometime here in the next 2 months. And then again, next spring, following summer. So we'll have a good data set, if you will, to make an informed decision on what might be a direction that we can go. Or if we can avoid treatment by getting a higher yield, low PFAS well, we might do that. Treatment is probably the most expensive way we could go. So these are all things that will be flushed out in the next year and a half, hopefully. So it's going to be a process. But yeah, getting those grants was a lot of work from Guy and our district engineer and myself and staff. And it's an ongoing thing. Now we have the money, we got to continue to sample. So, and get more information. And that's pretty much all I got. Well, I do have one other thing. You asked me at one meeting, Julie, how many manholes do we have? The nearest we can tell, because we don't know where, there's some that we probably don't know about that are buried still, is 197. And
I have a question for you. Did I read somewhere, was it in the previous minutes or this packet, where you were building something in wastewater treatment to?
we built a little bioreactor. It's in the document that went to CDPHE on our DMR. That's one of the things that we tried to do. What our problem is we just can't overcome the temperatures. The bugs just don't work at those lower temperatures.
Yeah, I wanted to commend you for doing that and trying something different, because I think that's awesome that you're
We
trying.
We did get a couple, this will be on next month's report too, but we did get our mixers back up and running in that cell. And it churned up some gnarly looking stuff. Yeah, there was some sediment that I wouldn't even, sludge got churned back up. You get a kick out of it. It's pretty gnarly.
You guys are a different breed.
But that's gonna, that food's now available. We're seeing our bugs return for the ammonia side. Those other bugs that are doing the BOD process they're gonna have so much food, they're having a population explosion right now.
Yeah.
We will have to take that cell offline once we get recovered and mess with our process yet again to try to fix the leak that we have on our air delivery system for our diffusers. So that I figure is going to take close to 3 weeks probably to accomplish out of our summer. We'll be concentrating on trying to get that water drained out of there so we can go down in there and actually work on it. And some of that nice sludge.
We're doing it right now.
Oh, yeah. So do you have a drain that will actually drain yours?
We installed plumbing and piping so we can pump it into the other basin. Or we can send it across the press.
Yeah, we have to use trash pumps. But that's all I have.
Any other questions for Mark? Thank you. That takes us to Darrell with roads and back and open space, maintenance.
So, the month of April, Rick, spent a fair amount of time, as we talked earlier, on the ditches. Not just the Venemeyer ditch, but also the Spotago ditch back there. We were having a big problem and issue with water actually being able to make it to the lake without losing it before it got there. We did patch up quite a few of those areas. There's still more to patch up. Yeah, but unfortunately the water has stopped and succeeded, so we moved on to other projects. We are gonna get back on that in the fall. Try to get that fixed before next year. That way we can get every bit of the water down to the lake next year. So we can. Yeah, there was a lot of needles, down trees, beavers. We did excavate a section of alpine forest. It was extremely saturated, probably one of the worst. Well, it is the worst boil that I've done. I've only done two. The one that we had last year on San Moritz, and then this one. Yeah, this one was way more saturated than the one on San Moritz. There's a lot of clay in there. It's gonna take a while to dry out, so.
What is a boil?
It's where water is infiltrating underneath the ground and causing the ground to swell and protrude outwards versus like a sinkhole would be going downwards.
Kind of like a pimple.
Yep, pretty much.
Real big.
So we got some good drainage in there now. I'm hoping that it'll dry out and then next year we won't have that problem now that there's some drainage in there.
Yep.
Did a lot of cleaning around the dumpsters. Continued dog pots. Straighten up, we had to, repair the gate several times. I'm hoping we have it fixed this time. Worked on training. Slash pile. We had to repair the brakes on the water truck. We had the event with, we did 500, or I wish, 5.69 miles of road this April. We hauled in 206.72 tons of gravel on these roads. I think that the roads are really good, holding up better. We're doing a good job.
You guys know that big, like, metal trash pile you guys got, dash back there in the back?
We're hauling around slowly. I tried to get Reckler to bring us a dump. They said they're not doing that anymore. I don't know why, because I see their trash cans everywhere else, but they won't do it for us.
Okay.
And that is at our expense.
Yeah, but if they haul this one down, it would cover it. Or are you talking about us transporting it?
Taking it.
It is back to our expense, but we do make the fuel back on it and then some change. That goes into the general account.
Yeah, the reason I'm asking is I just would like to put it on record for the residents to not leave trash that is not supposed to go into the dumpster because we are having to haul it off at Forest Lake's expense.
And tires, and those are gonna be very costly. Eventually, we're gonna have to get rid of those. Fire department start seeing that as a potential hazard.
Yeah. So when residents leave that stuff, it's a problem for Forest Lakes. You're getting rid of your problem, but it's a problem for us now. The only other thing I have, Daryl, is could you put the headers on these next month?
I'm still figuring out the Microsoft and Excel thing. I've not used that stuff. I'll get it figured out.
Okay, thanks.
I'll spend some time with them.
He does the most complicated stuff and he comes to my office, he's like, Mike. And I'm like, I hope you're not spending a lot of time working. Go back and worry about stuff that's like complicated.
Any other questions?
No, it just seems like everybody's doing really great. Thank you.
Did you try Belt Salvage? Did you try calling those guys in Cortez? See if they do any roll-offs?
No, I did not, was not aware of them.
Yeah.
Oh, totally forgot about that.
Yeah, Belt. B-E-L-T.
Or belt.
Belt, yeah.
For the tires, you said?
For steel,
Okay.
metal, and then they might, I don't know if they still do, they used to.
Okay. Yeah.
Give them a try.
I'd like to say the front entrance looks really nice too. We've gotten lots of compliments on it, the office. So thank you.
It does look so much better than last year.
Mhm.
The dust control is really nice. Thank you for that. I know everybody really appreciates that one.
I'd like to be able to mow once a week, but
It's way better than last year, I know that.
I agree. Yep. Okay, anything else for Carol? Moving right along, number 8, new business.
Oh, I have
Or
one,
wait.
I'm sorry, I have one more thing. Those pump stations that are around Forest Lakes, are they pump stations, those little huts?
they're PRVs. They have to do with the water lines.
Does have the pipes coming out of the ground? Those?
Well, like the brown one over here by the, bus stop, and there's a green one up
The little
Service
buildings.
Road. They're little buildings.
Oh, that's our lawnmower storage over. Our
Okay.
lawn storage.
Cause there's a couple of others.
Some of the other ones are springs, yeah.
The one on Samaritz is a spring, and then the one on
PRV.
what is it, Forest Lakes
Forest
Drive,
Lakes Drive.
the service road, that's an old PRV that's should be decommissioned. But still connected to our system, but very close to the road. Very close to Daryl's snowplow.
I was just gonna suggest that maybe they get painted. I know the one by the bus stop's been painted, but the other ones are starting to deteriorate at the bottom. If-
Yeah, I was actually thinking of that yesterday, if y'all even wanted it in that green out there.
Yeah, cause there's one on the service road. It's a green one.
Because right now, currently, we're driving I was trying to figure out a way to get our lawnmower in there. We can't actually get that lawnmower in there. It's too wide, won't fit to the door. We can fix the door, alter it pretty easily, but it is just placed on the ground, so I was wondering if that's where y'all want to keep it, or we could move it, or potentially,
The building,
yeah.
The one right at the
Sitting
front
on the
entrance,
ground.
is that the one you're talking about?
Correct. I don't know, I was just thinking about it today,
I would
but since you brought it up.
to a more secure location.
Yeah.
Especially if it's housing Forest Lakes equipment.
Under lock and key. My grandpa always said a lock on keeps an honest man out.
so would you be able to move the building?
We can move it, yeah.
Oh.
We have equipment to move it. I mean, I don't know that it would stay together, but I think it would. It seems pretty stable, still pretty good condition.
And you'd wanna have it up here so you wouldn't have to be transporting it and stuff?
Once we have cameras, I thought it would be a little safer, maybe in the back here and behind here, and then that would free up some green belt and put some grass there instead of looking at the building. But that's up to you.
Seems like a good idea.
I'm okay with it,
Sounds like a smart idea, actually.
yeah.
Is something you'd like to do soon, or we have a little bit of time to mess with that?
Whenever you have
When
time.
you have time.
That is not a priority.
That is not a priority. You got time, great.
See, that's what you get for opening your mouth.
Yep.
More.
Okay. New business, the Harrington land lease.
Okay, thank you. Late last month, Blue Carrington approached the district about leasing district owned property. And in the packet is a illustration from Google Earth. It is the red part that we're talking about, plus or minus roughly 3 acres. Anyway, he wanted to know if he could lease that from the district for grazing. And so we looked at it and I didn't have any concerns about it. And so we actually just went ahead and drew up a lease for that. The lease has some very important, and the lease was written by our district council and contains some conditions. Property may only be used to pasture and graze animals. No other use will be engaged in by the tenant without written consent of the district, of this board. The term of the lease is effectively open-ended, but either party may terminate the lease at any time by providing written notice to the other party within 30 days. Tenant has no right to use any utilities or water on the premises, whether existing now or in the future. Tenant cannot sublet property without written consent of the district. Tenant shall maintain and repair all fencing on the premises. Tenant shall also construct a fence between the property and the gravel piles to fence in the animals. And I reached out to Luke and said, you understand that part? He's like, yep, we'll build it, we maintain it. Tenant shall obtain and keep in full force a policy of commercial general liability insurance under which the tenant is named as the insured and the district is named as an additional insured, and Barry has no problem with those requirements. Basically what he gets out of it is his ability to kind of rotate his pastures. And that's what he gets out of it. We don't get a hell of a lot. We get the grazing, we knock down the weeds. But we had no plans for the property. And then I did reach out to the fire district and ask if they had any concerns about that. They said that is where they do land their helicopter for training emergencies, but they didn't feel they could work around that, no problem.
And he was good with putting the fence with the gravel and stuff there?
He's gonna take care of it.
I mean, it's wide open right
And
now.
then here's the copy of the lease.
Good.
Paul wrote a very conservative lease. I looked at it, I was like, boy, that's tough, and we had no problem with it. So
Wonderful.
The question I have is, where does the lease fund go?
we are not what we said is you have to keep the fences. We're not charging a price. We're saying that it has to keep the facilities clean and up to date.
So fences up and grass basically go down from the animals.
Why wouldn't we charge them?
I'm not sure I could have found the value that would have been $200 a month or so. So I just kind of wrote it off. We have the Harringtons and the district have a long relationship of interacting with each other. I looked at it as an opportunity to just knock down some weeds and have a fence up, and so I didn't consider what we did want was that he had to take care of everything, have insurance for it, had limited use of it. Other than that, I did not go after him.
Okay. And then when the lease expires in a year, if he doesn't use it, he's gonna leave the fences up?
Yeah, and then it's a month to month after that. So it is open to be it's a year lease, and if nobody takes any action after that, then it goes month. So he'll have it for the winter time as well.
Okay. You guys have
No,
any
Bonnie, you
concerns?
didn't.
I think it was stated in there that no, we haven't ever been approached for that property. Like it's not,
Nobody's ever.
nobody's ever requested.
And there's a gate system just off 501. If you look right there, he's got a fence gate, and then there's actually an actual metal gate that goes into the property in question. So it looks like at some point in time, they did it anyway.
Plus, the fire department does use that property for like helicopter landing and stuff. We've seen that in the past or some land.
Considering both parties are emergency services, Luke's gonna know before we know when the helicopter's coming, even for training hours.
So is he gonna work with the Lucas, the fire chief, if they need to use the property for?
If it's an emergency, it's an emergency, they put down.
Oh,
Period. Yeah, and we talked to Luke about that, although it's not the lease. But it is acknowledged that if it's an emergency, it's an emergency, they get down. If it's a training and we have a day or two to talk about it, then if Luke needs to move his livestock over for the day or something like that, we can deal with it, but nobody thought it was anything that would kill the deal.
I think you actually said even if they were in that field, that they could use this field over here.
Oh, yeah, so the fire department, so they could go across the street too.
I mean, we've seen some ambiguity in a lot of different things that we have around here. I would definitely add that to the lease terms. That the fire department can land for an emergency, or they may need to use it for training. So it's written, and he can't come back and say, why are you guys scaring my horses? And, you know.
Else, want to add that, or?
And what she just said, I think it would be a good idea that it's noted that the fire department has priority over that pasture.
And they already do have priority, but having it in writing is maybe pretty smart.
I'm glad that we can talk to. So if that gets in there, are you okay to sign it? Okay. And I'll hold off on you signing it. I'll speak to Luke and then.
That sounds good.
Okay. So I guess you can go and vote on it with that caveat. If you like.
Make a motion to approve the agricultural lease agreement between Forest Lakes Metropolitan District and Lucas Harrington with the few changes for the fire department.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you.
Good. Moving right along to, number 9. Discussion item, the entry road paving information.
This is it's an issue we've been working on for a couple of meetings. I was instructed by the board to go back and touch base with LaPlata County Road Bridge, which I did. So basically, you can see my bullet points here. The county is not tied to the rendering it provided the district. That is something that they came up with. If the district can conceive an alternative that meets the stated goals of the county, they would be more than willing to discuss the implementation of the alternative and stay faithful to their willingness to pave a portion of the district entryway. I have not seen any other renderings or proposals. That doesn't mean they're not floating around or people have a better idea. So, but the district does, I'm sorry, the county will only participate in paving if we amend the traffic patterns as they're currently. If the district chooses to not alter the current alignment, which is to fully fund the paving project, the county will work in good faith to make sure the connection between the county and the district right of way is installed in a manner to avoid any chipping or anything like that. Yeah, we won't need a permit or an access permit or anything because it'll be on our right of way, but we'll be budging right up to them. And I just want to make sure that both parties felt it was constructed in a manner that won't deteriorate sooner than it should. So that's what I came back with from the county. And at this point, as staff sees it, I think you're down to about 4 options. One is obviously do nothing, status quo. It's always an option. 2 is the district chooses to not work with the county to alter the current traffic patterns and pays the paving for the 100%. This would necessitate the district deciding how much entry roads it would want to pave, also when you would want to do the project. Or district develops a new traffic pattern acceptable to the county or adopts the county's current rendering and accepts the offer from the county to pave the entryway, or district develops a new traffic pattern or accepts the current one. County pays what they were willing to pave, and then the district at its own expense possibly pays further into the district. There is no time limit for when this work will be accomplished. If we feel comfortable that, maybe we want to do it next summer, we just let them know. So they're not in a hurry. We're not in a hurry, but it is the only thing I see ticking from a staff perspective is the amount of traffic, the traffic trips that are on, which is causing the problem to begin. That's the only thing that I see is a ticking clock because it's coming again and it'll come again and it'll come again. Other than that, that's kind of where we're at on this issue.
Is the 150 feet the red?
So each one of these are 100 feet.
Oh,
Halfway into the blue.
halfway
Yes.
into the blue.
So that's 100, 150, 340.
Okay. I mean, for me, I'd go with bullet point 3, developing a new traffic pattern, having them help us and getting it done.
Same.
Then we need to develop a new traffic pattern. The county's already provided one that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Let me ask you a question. The county rendering, would that be something you'd support?
Meaning,
One way in, one way out.
yes,
Except,
yes.
I look at rush hour, and you guys know this better than I'm retired, so. Traffic jams. when do we see the biggest rush hour for Forest Lakes, people getting out? Right now, they use both lanes and they both turn,
And they don't
generally.
turn this way, you know.
And they
Almost
have
been-
done that.
I've almost been in that one where I go, this guy come a whole butt out and.
It's gone that way as well, but a lot of times in the morning, they're going, but yeah, it does happen that other way as well. So, I mean, we have a lot of traffic going out at the same time of the morning, every day, so I think that you do see an increase of traffic. And if you limit that to one vehicle, which is pretty much, that's what you probably have to do. You could make it two, but a lot of people don't go that way. I mean, a lot of people do too, but
I would
think about how the traffic's.
currently the way this is set up, not really safe. If you wanna keep the two entrances, then maybe we would say that one is to go left only and this one's to go right only, and then that will prevent the near misses. But I'm still in favor for one way in and one way out.
I was looking
It's not
at
to
it,
say, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was looking at it the other day when I was driving, and it looked to me, because there were cars coming in, cars going out both ways. And it looks to me like it would flow much better coming in, going out, because then you wouldn't have all sitting here waiting for this car to go and then this car to go. Cause you don't know what that car is gonna do over here. And like you said, a lot of them just zoom on out.
Not to include the NASCAR freeway we have.
Yeah,
I would offer up also that currently there's 2 ways in and 2 ways out, and the way the county has it set up, that would still be the case. 2 lanes leaving and 2 lanes coming in.
mm-hmm.
I do. Just from coming in at 7:30 and getting up there at 7:30, the last month, turning on the water for the entrance, I mean, I've noticed that, the same thing. It's in, out, and then a lot of people are turning this way and just as many people are turning this way, even from just that lane right there. I see more people going out that way in the morning than I do going out this side on the south side.
Coming in too leads you to the mailbox, which a lot of people will go to before they go home. Which happens to be on the one that the county is designated as an inn, if you will. And then
Insurance.
The only thing that I could see, which isn't a big deal, is we would have to move where the bus parks to drop the kids or pick the kids up. So there would have to be a different method. Because right now they block that whole area.
You can come up here and come down and turn around and park right there.
Yeah,
Either way, it doesn't matter. The other one, I mean, they stop on the highway, you're supposed to stop for them, no matter where they're at.
Yeah.
The only time you don't have to is if it's a divided highway.
That would be rush hour though. I mean, that's a good spot right there. I've never seen no soccer going on down there. I mean, but we can still have a soccer field. We can just move the soccer.
But you don't want kids crossing the street to get to where people are parking.
Yeah.
School, crossing zones.
There's a little bit more to it than that, with crossing zones and whatnot, but.
Who kind of regulates the bus stop? Is that the school district or? I mean,
This, I don't know how they do it, but they designate places.
I think that's kind of historically what they've done. I don't know if it's, I've never seen it go to the district or any battery policies. It's just kind of what they've done because the parks there, that little shelter there. It's got built a couple years
I'm not sure, does the Forest Lake Trail, are they the ones that go out to Vallecito and all that too?
I think so. Well, I think what happens is one bus goes up there and then comes and drops the kids off and it's another bus here. And then that bus goes, or maybe they take I think it's age groups or something, but I know that, I think they do a drop off between buses there too.
there was like a Forest Lakes bus when my daughter lived on.
Well, I was just curious, cause if they have to go up that way, then this doesn't make any difference. They come here, drop kids off and make the right out.
Mhm.
I think I saw it turn left the last time I was behind them.
Oh,
So it might have been coming back from Vicia.
and when they stop, let the kids off, it's no different than in any town or city. That, they stop traffic regardless. It sucks, but it's what it is.
And I wanna say in the morning, both buses go to Big Field. In the afternoon, one turns left, one turns right. And that was I talked to Daryl after this was brought up last time. My main concern was the traffic pattern and the change by the bus stop. So you're dealing with rush hour in the morning and in the afternoon. If you close that off, if they stay where they're at, dropping off and picking up, this will see a dramatic increase of traffic, like Alpine Drive or whatever it is. And you will have people increase in traffic that go to the mail stop and take whatever road that is, come back.
No.
That smaller road will probably see increased traffic as well. But if the school or the bus drivers, yeah, if there's another location, that wouldn't be an issue. With
There's
that.
enough room, and we can like designated spot, that school bus can get far enough. out of the way.
Yeah.
Behind the bus stop there, you just pull in there.
I feel like this east end of this whole parking area could be utilized too. I mean, you see cars, but they go maybe halfway up.
Right.
That could be a potential place for the buses to turn around and do the crossover and out.
I mean, no matter what we do, if we do any type of traffic pattern change, you're gonna have the notification, there's gonna be the learning period. We're gonna have to have the sheriff up here, like, hey, can't go this way. Like, no matter what, unless we do nothing, people are still gonna, fall under the same routine.
I also think that, because the bus stop is there, we need to have some kind of safety barrier. If it's the concrete thing, so cars can't run into that while kids are walking in and out of the little building.
I sat at that window for 2 years and watched people. You have all of those scenarios happening the way your traffic pattern is now. You have people flying by the bus, you have kids getting on the bus, people not stopping. I think you have the same concerns you're bringing up currently.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right.
I don't think the bus driver puts her lights on, him or her puts her lights on with the stop sign out at all. Because it's blocking the road.
They do.
It
It's
just-
just on automatically when you go.
Yeah.
Oh.
They're always on, every time I've ever seen them in the morning and afternoon. It's
Okay.
just they're in a location that doesn't block this road or this road. They're just right in the middle.
And is there enough space here for that double lane? To go across?
Pretty wide.
Yeah, you can get two vehicles across the center.
Okay, so we wouldn't have to take out any trees or anything here to do that.
Say that. Take out trees. Roads would be the least of our concern, but yeah, I agree, there's enough room. I mean, I really think there is.
Yeah.
And I think there's room for if that continued to be the bus stop where the building is, to put barriers there to protect
Mhm.
children, movement.
Right.
If we were down this road, no pun intended, but hey, we would certainly meet with the school district and go, what works best for you for handling the kids? And then we can move Jersey blocks, do whatever we need to do to accommodate them. But I would much prefer they tell us what the problem is and we try to solve it that way. But, and I think a couple of things. One is, yeah, you can make the turns, people will learn traffic patterns. You're not hurting for money in your general fund to pave this. So I think in your head, you may want to think about this, I would decouple the funding from the act of changing your traffic pattern. I would ask you, do you see benefit in altering the traffic pattern for whatever reason? Then if the answer is yes, then we go down that route of trying to figure out what's the best thing to do. And then we engage the county and do the paving and stuff like that. If you say, no, we don't want to do that, but we do want to do paving, then we can look at costs. Because you are going to have money in your general fund to accomplish this, and you will have it a lot more next year if you budget it too. So I want to be really careful about why you're making these decisions. And I think if you looked at them separately, that may be a better way to look at it and help your decision making.
Well, mine's straight from a safety deal. If these two driveways were further apart, then we wouldn't even be having this conversation, but right now it is chaotic and knock on wood, sooner or later, something's gonna happen.
Interestingly enough, though, I sent you guys these last
You did.
fall. We did get the traffic up from CDOT or from Highway Patrol. And there's been no fatalities and very few traffic incidents there. A lot more have been from weather and animals. But I looked, I think, a mile on each side, something like that.
Yeah.
Got the numbers as best as we could get them, which shocked me. So maybe it's not being reported. That's always a possibility. Maybe it's not happening. That's a possibility too.
What would be the, cause you got the survey monkey, right?
Yeah.
Send
Haven't
out,
put it out, but I can put that in.
put some feelers up to the community and see what their thoughts are.
Definitely do that. Because again, I want to reiterate, there's the only clock that's ticking is the repairs are going to have to be going on in that area at some point in time. Other than that, you really don't. I think the county will hold off for a while. You guys can hold off for a while. That's an option, definitely.
Can you maybe reach out to the school district and just kind of tell them where we're at and
Sure.
see if they have any input?
Yeah.
I'm kind of torn, taking this out to the general public and saying, hey, what are your thoughts? Because we're gonna have a whole mirage of different ideas, and I think that with the traffic pattern that he had, with the safety issue, and I think the flow is really gonna go well, in my opinion. If we need to go out to the residents, that's fine, but I don't think it's gonna accomplish anything.
I think because we're doing the Survey Monkey and asking for input from the residents, which I think is always good. And maybe limiting it to these four. I guess you could put a fifth as you got a suggestion kind of thing, but these being the four.
Well, I wouldn't even give them 4 options. You say, this is what's being proposed to us by the county, and we want to do this or do nothing at all and just pave it. Leave it as is.
Or leave it
You
as
don't,
is.
you don't give them, you give them 5 or 6 options, it's a mute point. That's what she was saying. It's gonna be chaotic and you get a bunch of different responses.
And the residents probably are not reading the minutes, they're not coming to the meetings, so they don't understand the full scope unless on the Survey Monkey, you put the link that said, here's all the information, here's the details. Yeah,
I'm sure everyone can agree that the entrance down, I mean, the road is garbage, basically. You know, obviously from the traffic. But I mean, I'm sure everyone agrees on, will want to see it improved to some degree, right?
yeah.
I mean, if the county's identified it as a significant enough thing in their eyes to offer to pay for it, you may have a problem.
It's pretty rough.
Oh, and that's what I was gonna say, is the safety, obviously, which apparently isn't an issue, but the county appeasement is an issue. Like, just getting on the good graces of the county, because this has been an issue so long, not having to worry about it anymore. Yeah, you see cars doing multiple things to avoid this pothole. And including like getting in the wrong, since this isn't incoming, there's cars that come all the way over here to the left to avoid that pothole. Well, that's, an issue right there, and I've seen that personally. Getting that moved back, getting that pavement moved back, like, it would be a good thing. Just,
So moving the pothole further inside.
well, no, like he said, when you have that start-stop point where, so if the pavement ends right there at the 150, your stop-start point is here. You have good pavement all that way where people are stopping and taking off.
You're already, so acceleration and de-acceleration.
And that's what's creating.
It's not one vehicle too. It's your queues in the morning.
2,000 a day or whatever.
It's when you have 20 cars queuing up there to get out, regardless of the direction they go. When the road's saturated or gone from ice to wet, or whatever it might be, they're just crawling just that little bit and just cranking their tires just that little bit. And that's what's causing those ripples 200 feet into your right away from the county.
Yeah,
Somewhere,
I've seen a lot of both cars in both sides going into Bayfield then they're stopped at the same time. Well, this one's trying to speed up to get in front of this guy. And like they're shooting rocks out just to get in front of this guy over here where they're going to the same place. And that, again, that start-stop point. Not that we have aggressive drivers in the neighborhood. I'm just saying.
We do a point system, the more they cut off people, they get like stuff off their water. Let's go the exact opposite.
I mean, change is good. And I think people, once they get into this mode, I think are gonna see a great change and a great improvement.
Does this group think that there is a problem with your traffic? Yes.
Cause I do exactly what he said. I go around to try and miss that giant pothole when there's no cars coming. Hey, I've seen you speeding down the road too.
You ended the hot in one breath, what's your?
I haven't had issues myself, but.
But with it being paved, we're gonna have to have it striped to keep the people going in the right direction and, on their side.
Will be a turning lane, right, left and right.
You'll probably look.
Yeah, it'd be
If it's that route,
Yeah.
turn, a left and a right turn.
Right. But then it would need to be striped here. And around here. I mean, the whole thing.
You see stripe on the pavement.
Yeah.
Probably
Hey.
not gonna start
And then this would be signage probably everywhere up here telling people what to do, right?
No, definitely signs.
Lots of signs.
Yeah, it's definitely trying to communicate.
There's gonna be pushback no matter what, and like, I mean, there's been people living here for 30 years that see no problem whatsoever. Yeah, I think the pavement here where this road can get really bad, I think is a really good thing to push that line back, have that nice clean entrance. Like, I'm on a motorcycle and I hit these entrances, like, if I don't have to stop, I don't, because it's so bad. Because I'm putting myself on marbles basically at that entrance. And so I really slow and pray nobody's coming and I can creep out and really hammer the gas when I get to the pavement, so.
So what does everybody think out of these bullets? What do you think? Corey?
Kelly?
What are we saying? I'm hard
Trying
to
to
hear.
figure out where we're all at.
Oh, yeah, I'm okay with, I like number 3. But if there's an engineer out there that can come up with a better plan, then, but I'm all for, like, I don't mind the county's plan one bit. Oh.
Robin?
Yeah, I like the county involvement, definitely. But I also hear that we're adding to it too. And we did not budget it this year. Whether we have money or not, we did not budget it. So I'm thinking it needs
We're
probably,
150, right?
There's a couple options.
I think I think they said less than 100 feet is what they would participate in.
Okay.
50 grand or something.
And all we have to do is signs.
Signs and then we maintain our insurance. Make sure it doesn't.
Once they put this down, you're not gonna have to do anything for a few years. Unless you start getting some cracks and crack seal, which is,
It says 150 feet on each side is what the county owns.
crack seal is relatively inexpensive.
That's nothing from us as far as paving. We get 150 from the county.
Not this
If
year,
we agree to their travel.
not this year. The only thing that, and if they did this year, then we'd have to pony up money for the signs.
Right. So signage.
And informing the citizens,
Huge.
which will be
Communication.
an effort. But doable, but an effort.
And I have to be in this, I'm not willing to provide.
Would it give us the option in the future to go down?
Well, Daryl, you said, I'm not sure you were here at that meeting, but you said that the quotes were to do all the way around, right?
No,
It was like 100.
Oh, it was just the entrance.
50 feet on both sides was for the entrance.
And that was before the county came with this.
Correct.
Correct. And these are 100-foot increments or 50-foot?
100 foot.
Can we get better quotes from 150 feet all the way around to see what we're looking at?
Yeah.
Probably be the
I can
same.
look.
It'd probably just be like that. I mean,
Yeah.
it looked like they had it per foot price or whatever, so.
I think we're kind of steering off the weeds. I think what you're asking for would be something more for planning budget for next year.
Yeah.
Getting the county on board to do this part, this asphalt for free is,
Yeah,
That's what I was gonna say. If they're gonna do that part, only thing I would suggest is that possibly be looking at future fiscal years for improving or lengthening that, because 150 foot only gets you to here. Or no,
Halfway through the.
yeah, halfway through the yellow, and that curve's gonna. This side of this entrance is definitely gonna create problems going around. If it was a straightaway and an apron, then that's great. But if you're in a curve, you're still taking smooth, good traction and going into something that's softer, not as hard of traction.
about 150 feet in it, like here in the blue, not the yellow.
Yeah. So each one should be about 100 feet. Each
Yeah,
color.
if both are 100, then it would be halfway in the yellow.
And you could compare that also
So it'd be
to
right in the middle of the corner.
the time and money that it's taking to keep it in shape
You're right.
now.
yeah,
As a resident, I see it as a benefit.
100 foot?
Yes.
And it's been confusing. It's hard.
And I'm pretty sure one of the questions is gonna be, are the rates gonna go up to maintain this?
It's gonna lessen the maintenance though.
So are the rates gonna go up?
I don't see a reason why they would.
Because that's gonna be a selling point.
I don't see why it would, because you're doing initial work of signage, stuff like that. But what you're doing is taking away 3 or 4 times a year that they're totally having to do the entryways, your staff is. And that's a couple days worth of work.
Can we just put a traffic circle up there?
You know.
can we name
I
it Corey
think I'm
Circle?
I was about to.
You know, Mike, why did you go make that recommendation?
I'll talk to the county.
Yeah, it's my engineer, traffic circle around.
Call it Griffith Lane.
Yeah,
No, well, I know part of that.
that's your legacy.
So. Sounds like what I hear, is what Chris asked everybody, that everybody is in favor of, like with the county and their assistance, which means actually having to adopt their traffic plan as well, when the time is right. And again, when is the time going to be right for us? Right now, I don't think we need to rush on this, but it's something that in the future, we could use some attention.
You mean for having the county do it?
Yeah.
Well, that's what Daryl was saying. It's causing them a problem every couple of months to have to go out and do the entrance. So it would save them a lot of time to be able to do the rest of the roads if we could get it done earlier.
Immediate savings.
So, I mean,
And that's our job, that's job security for us, so don't make your decisions, but solely based on what we have to do.
when is
Thank
your,
you.
when is your term? When's the vote, like the new board members come on?
That will be, yeah, May is when that comes.
Huh? A year from now, okay. What was I thinking this year? I don't know.
Wishful thinking.
Don't.
No.
Are you anything out?
Because when he came on, I thought it.
And now he is also, that position is also.
Okay.
There's gonna be 3 positions for
2025.
Next year, a
Yeah,
year
I
from
will
now,
come out.
okay. For some reason, it was in my head this year. Okay,
You're stuck with them.
and that's what I was gonna say, like, if this is going back out on Survey Monkey, if this is something that's not immediate, then why force a decision now, is what I'm kind of hearing from you
That's
as
what
well.
yeah, I'd kind of like to hear what the residents think
Yeah.
about it too.
Yeah.
I'm thinking they might be on the same track as the rest of us, but
It would be nice to know what the residents thought of it as well.
yeah, if they were in favor, it'd sure make our decision a lot
We're
easier.
a small sampling.
And no matter, like, it's gonna be, you're gonna hear people that are like, this is the stupidest thing ever. Why can't we just leave it? I've already heard it. Why can't we just leave it like this?
And the accidents, the safety and stuff like that. I mean, we do have a response for that. Why do we need change? Well, because we've been very lucky, knock on wood, we haven't had any of the fatalities and stuff. Close call.
Instead of doing Survey Monkey, because we probably won't get as much response for that either, I'm assuming. Well, we hold advertise it, a meeting, a public meeting, that those that actually want to come speak to it, have them show up in person.
Just for this issue.
Yeah, I don't like that.
A public hearing.
Which is a certain date, a certain time, we're talking summertime, we're
Yeah.
talking people on vacation, people can't make it. Survey Monkey, they have more options as to when they can get that information sent back, whether they want to even send it back. I kind of hate to pin down a meeting date and time and say, this is our choice.
It won't be just one dead set, you can have multiple meetings. I mean, we're doing baseball all the time when it comes to like big park things.
Survey Monkey, you're typically only gonna get 30% back.
That's more than we've ever seen at a meeting.
Yeah. If it's something they care about, they'll fill.
100% residents go to the mail stop, set up a polling box up there. Just giving you options.
That's good. Suggestions.
Put it in that old newspaper rack.
Just another, instead of Survey Monkey, it's just another option, another avenue. Well, you do both?
I was about to say maybe a combination of both.
That's what the fire district did for the building. I mean, they did several different things. I just don't wanna lose what county is proposing and maybe new leadership comes in and, oh, we're not gonna do this for you guys now. You know, there could be all kinds of reasons. It's not in the budget anymore. I would just hate to see us miss that opportunity. Mhm.
But I think this has been on county's plate for a long time, and I tend to think that won't happen. This is an issue they want resolved. Are willing
Yeah.
to put in a little bit of help.
It's an issue that they'll want to resolve, but now they're willing to help.
Yeah.
In the near future, they may not be so willing to help, and it may be, you need to do it and do it now,
Yeah, no, I agree.
at our time.
I'm talking about the issues, but yeah, I agree with you.
So where do we go from here?
Fun.
What would you like me to do? We can put in a survey. You guys can reach out to people and talk to them. We have a concept of a citizens meeting. We can obviously do nothing. You guys can make a decision in next meeting about what you want to do and not get feedback. You have a couple options.
If it were up to me right now, I would like the survey to go out. Based on the response, then we could do a public meeting. Based on the response we got, but like, I'm all for it.
I like the sounds of that.
All right, we'll get out the survey. We'll start talking to
Step
citizens.
forward.
Good.
Okay. Thank you.
Could, when you send out the survey, could you put that on the water bills that, you know, hey, this is coming?
Put it everywhere.
Okay.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
On this, on the survey, is there a way to like attach this pattern to it?
No, but we can probably put something on our website that talks about it. So that if people want information, they can go to the new website. And pull it.
That's a good idea.
Maybe the mail
More
stuff,
information.
the mail stuff too.
Absolutely.
Now that it's not so cluttered.
Okay, ready to move on to the next category, approval of disbursements?
I'd like to make a motion to approve check disbursements April 1st through April 30th in the amount of $97,249.51.
All in favor?
Aye.
Done. Okay. That will take us to,
Okay, from the executive session, I'm gonna text Paul right now. We'll know if 3 minutes away. And you have a motion here. You also have a motion in your memo.
make a motion to go into executive session pursuant to CRS 24-6-424B for the purpose of receiving legal advice from the district council regarding the scope of the district's real property rights.
Just a second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Going into executive session.
So, okay, we will,
Bye.
in this meeting.